Hi, today I want to talk about what I call the 2mm shift. It's the smallest possible change that you can make that will have a big effect on your life. Now, I'm sure you know that you solve problems all of the time, and most problems get solved. So if you have a flat tire or if you have a car problem, it gets solved. You work the problem. You don't necessarily do it yourself, you get someone to do it for you. Likewise, if you have a problem in your house, you need to change a bulb, that's a problem. You solve the problem. So human beings are great problem solvers, except that psychological problems seem to have a quality that resists being solved in the same way that you would solve a problem with changing a bulb. And psychological problems have a tendency to cycle or even recycle. And I would say if you struggle with panic, anxiety, depression or stress, you will be aware that you refresh your problems every day, and every day they come back again and again and again. Sometimes a bit stronger, sometimes a bit weaker, but they still come back again and again and again, and they tend to resist the solution that you have. So it looks like this. Every day you have the problem, and every day you apply your failing solution to the problem, and therefore the problem doesn't really change, and it recycles, and the same thing happens the next day. And typically you use the same failing strategy every day to fail to resolve the problem every day. So I want to offer you a different perspective, and I think perspective is the important element in this video. So look at this. So let's say where you are is being depressed or anxious, having panic or OCD or something like that, and let's say where you want to get to is not being anxious or depressed or having panic or OCD. Now clearly that's too big a jump. You can't go from where you are to where you want to be, where you want to get to, because it's just how do you do it? And the solution that you have been applying to get you there has consistently failed to move things forward, really. And so that's kind of where we are. Now, what happens is we forget that we move through time. Now, if we made no changes whatsoever, your position would remain the same. You'd go along that horizontal line and nothing would change, still applying the same failing solutions. So what we have to do is apply what I call a 2mm shift. It's the smallest possible change that we can implement, but we practice it consistently through time. Now, you would think that you can't go from where you are to where you want to be because it's just too big. Fine, absolutely agree with you. So what we do is we apply the smallest possible change, but we practice it repetitively through time. And if we continue to practice the 2mm shift through time, then we just inevitably reach our destination because we're doing more of the right things. We're actually solving the problem incrementally. So in essence, what we've done is we've created a solution that we practice repetitive. So examples. Suppose you worry. Typically, people who worry seem to accept that worry is just a natural part of life. And of course, it's not a natural part of life. So as if you listen to my videos, you'll know that I say problems exist and persist if you don't have an alternative to the problem. And so why not use, let's say, the stop exercise in the Anxiety Wizard tool set for worry, and that then gives you an alternative to the problem. So instead of accepting that worry is something that you just have to struggle and live with, well, we don't accept worry, we have a zero tolerance for worry. That is a 2mm shift. But suppose if you're depressed, you just decide to do 50 extra steps every day. 50 extra steps would be a 2mm shift. Yeah, but over a course of a month, you're doing a lot of extra steps, and next thing you know, you're spending a lot more time outdoors, you're walking or exercising, which is a brilliant antidepressant. That's a 2mm shift. The smallest shift you can make, practice repetitively. So how do we find the 2mm shift, that smallest change that we need to make to affect a new direction, a new trajectory? Well, if you look at this picture, your problem and your failed solution look to be on two dimensions. So we're always looking at things from the same viewpoint, and of course that's our lived experience. But what we need to do is to add a third dimension. We need to helicopter up and look at our problem and our failed solution from a different viewpoint. And as soon as we look at things from a different viewpoint, we see different aspects of that thing. So imagine this. There's a house, and there are 4 people looking at a house, and each one is looking at one side of the house. That is all they see. But if they all come together and all look at each side of the house together as a group, then they have a fuller picture of what the house looks like, and they have a better understanding of its structure. So we always benefit from looking at things from a different viewpoint. So we helicopter up and we say, okay, what is my failed solution to this problem? What is the thing that I tend to do? Is it avoidance? Is it overthinking? Is it reacting to the problem in a particularly strong emotional way? What is my failed solution? Okay, I'll stop doing that and I'll do something different. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of different solutions and ways and perspectives to look at psychological problems. So if you don't have very many, I promise you there are lots and lots and lots. And particularly, you know, the tools in Anxiety Wizard, for instance, is full of perspectives and ways to look at things. And to give you like a head start with prompts, I think you can ask 3 questions. The first one is, what am I not doing? The second one is, what am I not aware of? And the third one is, what am I not thinking? Now, I know they're strange questions, but we want a different perspective, right? So if we helicopter up and we ask ourselves these questions, it just gives us a prompt to think differently. It almost gives your brain permission to think differently. So the 2mm shift, it can be applied to everything. It may need to be applied more than once. One 2mm shift might not be the entire trajectory of a multifaceted problem, but you know what? It will definitely give you a changed experience. And as long as you continue to have a changed experience going in the right direction, then we've got these problems eventually solved. So I hope you find that interesting. Thanks for taking the time to watch and listen.